Welcome back, guys, to yet another World of Warcraft The War Within video. Today, we're going to be talking about this post that was posted just here a couple of days ago, 3 days ago at the time of recording this video. This goes over some concentration and profession feedback. Now, this particular person here on the forums, Hambrick, lined out a lot of really important questions and also a lot of feedback to basically the WoW team that's working particularly on the professions for the War Within, and especially concentration being the new profession stat that we're going to be using, right? It's going to be a big part of the professions. If you guys would like to fine read everything that's on this post and all the answers, then you are more than welcome to actually check this post out. I'm going to drop it down in the comment, or not down in the comments, down in the description below so you guys can go check it out. But me personally, I'm here because Blizzard actually Kyvax, or however I'm supposed to pronounce his name. I'm sorry. Her name, I don't know. Thank you for the feedback, Hambrick. While we don't have answers to all of your questions, we can actually offer some clarity. And I'm going to start out here because this video is for me to provide my own thoughts and my own feedback for some of the questions that are stapled. And I'm only going to be talking about the things they actually answered, because talking about anything else is for another video. But here are the current difficulty numbers for crests, missives, and embellishments final. This is for like endgame stuff. And obviously in Dragonflight, we had a bunch of different iterations of what crests were. We had them multiple times, but it was also somewhat a new system. And it's something that definitely needed some work for me, because I played it myself, and with how many crests you actually needed to make any significant amount of gear, especially if you wanted to play alts, since there was no like catch up for that system at all, you would have to go through a lot of Mythic Plus, like a lot of Mythic Plus. Actually, too, depending on how high you wanted your gear to go, some really high ones. But one important thing here is the design philosophy for crafting difficulty in the War Within is that a well-honed crafter who is fully specialized, equipped with the best crafting tools, and using quality-free reagents can guarantee maximum quality on every craft, with a few targeted exceptions on certain non-equipment crafts. Concentration is intended to offset shortcomings in any of these variables. I think this is a good change, because something that would happen, again, which is why I decided to pick that out, especially when somebody would ask for a certain gear craft, like they need a pair of boots, they need a cloak, they need a weapon, whatever it is, you couldn't always guarantee a quality 5, like the highest rank possible, especially early on, unless you were like super hardcore on your professions. And a lot of people didn't actually realize how much work it was, and the limited material being Artisan's metal, costing a lot to actually guarantee some of these higher quality crafts. So I think it's good that they're making a change like this, because that actually gives us less community confusion and not really understanding what's going on in professions if you're not a crafter. So I think this is a good change, not only because of that, but also if you're unlucky and you didn't have enough, like you couldn't find somebody with enough Artisan's metal to guarantee the quality 5, even with a maxed out profession, you could sometimes go, even if the crafter had a 30, 40, 50% chance that actually not guaranteeing, because that's, a little weird word to use, but to get the highest rank, some people would go, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times without getting that highest rank. And it's just not fun to continuously having to deal with that, especially when people are at the max rank. So I think this is a very good change. I'm glad that they actually did decide to do this. Another thing that they talked about, which is just down under here, the reagent contribution towards a recipe's final crafting difficulty has increased relative to Dragonflight. Reagents are now 40% of a recipe's difficulty, up from 25%, so the impact of lower quality reagents will be greater. So I think this is good because later on that means not everyone has to use the highest quality materials to get the highest quality ranks. It's just as the game goes on, you can kind of use almost anything, at least from what this sounds like. It's a little hard to test this currently because we don't know the progression scales fully of professions yet. There is a little bit that talks about that further down in this post, and we'll get back to that. But also, they also say, lastly, it's worth noting that the recipe reagent costs have not yet been tuned. While some recipes are more final than others, you can expect significant changes to the cost of recipes across the board in a couple of weeks. So this is basically them saying they're still not completely sure what things are going to cost. So it's a little hard to provide like a final answer as to what they're going to do. So whether or not they're making any significant changes to how many crests and embellishments and everything like that, we don't really know the full scope of that yet, so that remains to be seen. But I think the sign philosophy change is really, really good. And then there's the next piece of feedback. Concentration is currently tuned much too generously, specifically for gear crafting. And if you guys don't know what concentration is, it's a new profession stat in the War Within, and it basically serves as a replacement for inspiration, which is going away, and you can use a certain amount of concentration points to guarantee whatever rank that you're about to reach. So if you're at a point in your profession where, say, you can currently craft a rank 2, but if you use 50 points of concentration, you can guarantee quality 3. That's what the system is for. And when this Handbrake person is saying that it's tuned much too generously, is because concentration currently on the beta has 500 points. And depending on how hard a recipe is to basically push to the next level, you use more concentration. Pretty simple. The way that you recharge these points is purely based on time numbers. Right now on the beta, they actually nerfed it a little bit. I guess buffed it, depending on who you ask. It used to be between 5 and 6 minutes. You would get 1 point of concentration. Considering there's 500, it would take almost 2 days to get your 500 points. And for anyone that's used professions before, even if you only use like a handful of points, like say 4, 5, 6, 7, or whatever per craft, you'd be able to use that up in minutes. Like, it would disappear quickly. And especially for something like gear crafts, you would be able to use that up insanely fast, especially if the requirements are very high. But concentration's tuning is still a couple weeks away, but we agree. Additionally, Ingenuity's refund is being adjusted to a percentage rather than a complete refund. So Ingenuity is the secondary profession stat, but it's not really on its own because it just serves as a bonus to concentration. And Ingenuity is basically a chance to refund some of your concentration. And instead of being a flat rate, they have now decided to do a percentage rate. So say that you're down to your last 10, then you proc Ingenuity on one of your crafts, and then maybe you'll get 15% of your total concentration back. I think that's a good change, but at the same time, the reason why somebody would implement something like concentration is to give everyone that's in the crafting space a fair shot at being able to not only fulfill work orders, but also be able to sell anything and compete with prices on the auction house. So the easier this system is to either duplicate on alts, or the faster it actually recharges, the less of a reason you have to actually even have concentration in the first place. I think if they want a system like this where they time gate how fast you can get higher quality ranks guaranteed, it should be as slow as humanly possible and give everyone a fair shot at making a decent amount of gold, either every day or every week or something like that. Because say that they tune it down so you can recharge all of your 500 points in like a day, and then Ingenuity, once you get further into the profession, is going to give you, like, depending on your luck, give you an outrageous amount of points back because of it being a percentage base now. You can get really lucky and also outplay everyone else because you can just make alts and then you'll have more concentration to use, which brings me to the next question, okay? And that is knowledge progression going to be hard capped per week, or are there any plans to have something similar to Dragon Shards? And then they answer, profession knowledge and Artisan's Acuity, which is Acuity, however you want to say it, it's the new Artisan's medal acquisition, are tied closely to NPC crafting orders. NPC crafting orders not implemented yet, but it's supposed to be, instead of another player putting up a work order so crafters could complete it, this is going to be Blizzard making NPCs that put up particular personal NPC crafting orders that you could complete so you don't have to worry about competition with other players, which I think in itself is a band-aid solution to a much bigger problem on work orders. I will be making another video on that, but still we'll continue along here. Progression is indeed capped per week. However, there is catch-up built into the system that turns on pretty early. We anticipate there might be some slight variance in total knowledge points across any sampling of players at any given time, but invested crafters should be able to catch up within a couple points as long as they've made an effort to diversify their recipe list and routinely engage with NPC crafting orders. So this is obviously not fully finished yet, but this is the most important part. In Dragonflight, we had Dragon Shards of Knowledge, and those you could farm from treasures, disturbed dirt, whatever it was, and you could continuously farm this. There was zero cap. If you wanted to go extremely hardcore, you could blow by everyone else in your progression, in your profession, with knowledge points because of the fact that they were not capped. They've gone away from that and saying, okay, well, we're going to cap how fast your progression on your professions, I know that's a lot of words very quickly, it's just capped per week, right? So I think this is both a good and a bad thing, because if they do decide to cap how much progression you can get per week, we don't really know how much that is yet. And they also have concentration in the game, especially if they fine-tune it so it, rebuilds itself, you get all your points back faster and faster. We're going to run into an issue, again, talking about alts, where they put in concentration, they put in weekly caps to give everyone a fair chance. But if these are not tuned properly, everyone, at least the hardcore gold makers or people that have a lot of time, will be able to make 10 different versions on 10 different characters of every single profession. And if the knowledge points are weekly capped, they will probably, especially if there's a catch-up system, be able to catch up to your main character, to your second character, to your third character, which means that you're going to be able to just log from character to character to character to character, use up all your concentration, hopefully get lucky on ingenuity, and you'll be at the same point as all your other characters if it is indeed capped per week. So it's definitely going to be very interesting to see how they end up tuning this system, because if it's in any way, shape, or form put up in a way where alts are just the go-to, that solves nothing, right? If you can catch up on an alt within that weekly cap, right? That progression per week on knowledge points, if you can catch up on an alt within that 1 week to wherever your main is, having concentration and having this weekly cap will do nothing, right? We're just going to go back to the same old. A couple of people are going to be able to basically monopolize the entire server or wherever they're located, especially with something like work orders, right? And that kind of goes for materials and intermediate crafts and everything like that. So I'm a little scared personally for the system. I think that obviously for gold making reasons, this sounds great. If you like alt armies, depending on how they end up tuning this is going to be great for alt armies. I mean, It just is. I don't see how this isn't going to be great for alt armies, especially because there's so many ways of time gating this. And if they cap the progression per week, I mean, it kind of writes itself, right? And the rest of this one here is talking about a specific node in alchemy, which I'm not too interested in. But it's kind of sad because this answer, it kind of makes me scared for the rest of the War Within. So we're going to go over it anyway, which is one of the dev nodes set alchemy was basically done, but potion still only has 2 nodes. So that particular specialization tree in alchemy with potions only has two things you can put points into. And then the answer, specialization trees are in their near final state across all professions. Most of the work that remains involves fixing up some obvious data errors and some minor tuning adjustments. We do not expect any significant changes to tree layout or perk design going forward. Regarding alchemy, there was a third potion node early in development that we simply weren't happy with and ultimately cut. We acknowledge that this left the potion tree feeling light on content, but have no current plans to expand it. These 2 pieces of text is really, really sad to me, because one of the worst things about Dragonflight Professions, in my opinion, was the fact that when they released them for the expansion of Dragonflight, we ended up with a situation where we barely saw any new content for professions throughout the expansion, right? We got Dracophis, we got like Cobra Skin, but that was basically it. We saw almost nothing else. We got a couple of raid recipes, but we didn't get new materials, we didn't get new talent trees, we didn't get new points, we didn't get new knowledge points, nothing. We just got the same system and had to deal with that the entire expansion. And I'm kind of sad about that, personally, because walking into Dragonflight, them redesigning the entire profession system to be the way that it is now, set it up in a way that made it seem like, professions are going to be this brand new thing and they're going to receive a bunch of updates and all this stuff, which it kind of fell flat on its face. And a lot of people would say, well, why do you care? Nobody uses professions. Well, everyone uses professions, right? They're making it a big, important part of every single aspect in the game, no matter what, right? If you're a PvE guy, or if you're a PvP guy, you have to interact with professions in some way. Consumables, crafted gear, all this stuff, it comes from professions. If they don't actually make the profession system good, they're just continuously punching down on the players that do enjoy it, and that's just not, I don't like that. So reading this really doesn't make me very happy. It kind of makes me scared for the future of professions. But I hope this is just, I hope this doesn't mean anything, but in my experience with the way that Blizzard sometimes words things, especially around gold making and professions, I think that's very telling for how much they care about professions, especially in the War Within. The other thing is, Hamburg also asked, what's the plan with Artisan's Acuity? Acuity, however you want to say it. It's the new Artisan's medal. So, here they answer. It will be used in greater amounts for recrafting than in Dragonflight, as well as being used for most crafts intended to improve your profession, such as profession equipment, as you mentioned. Additionally, it will be used to purchase most vendor recipes. A repeatable sync for Artisan's Acuity is a bag that contains a random assortment of reagents and a small chance at rare drop recipes. Now, that's actually not fully implemented either, but it's going to be very interesting to see how small of a chance these rare drop recipes are. It'll also be interesting to see whether or not they're going to be bind on equip or bind on pickup, whether or not they're going to be sellable or tradable between your warband. There's a lot of things that could actually be good, be bad, and go wrong with this, so that'll be interesting to see. But either way, a small amount of Artisan's Acuity will continue to come from knowledge acquisition as before. However, Thomas Bright will not be offering a weekly sum of Acuity this time. The currency's main source will be NPC crafting orders. A couple large sums will be offered a week, with many smaller offerings of Acuity on a more frequent cadence. So they're going away from using Artisan's metal like we had in Dragonflight to guarantee the higher ranks, because they have concentration and ingenuity in now, to have this basically more be, okay, well, if you need something recrafted, you can use this. Profession tools also use it, and then NPC crafting orders, and then some recipes and materials. Depending on, how many materials that is as well, that might be good for Alt Army as well. So yet another thing that we can actually look out for. But that's most of the replies that they put in here to this post. Again, if you guys want to check this out for yourself, I'm going to be linking this down in the description below. So go and check it out. If you watched all the way to this point in the video, make sure that you drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and also type profession down in the comments below. That's the word we're going to pick for today. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and until the next one, see ya.